Okay. I have a white stall. Is that okay? Because I have
came before the spanner.
I would think okay.
If it's like a hockey game, you always say the out-of-towners first.
I was
It's an honor. Viewership is good. Okay.
Someone better tell us what order than we
Yes, we could.
maybe someone could ask. I'm looking for Simon. Simon, he doesn't know. I asked him. Just ask him. Okay, fair enough. Question, see that? He's running the show here.
Yeah, but we should know what we're doing before we. Oh, guys, I'm gonna check it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Gentlemen, Brian just reminded me the order of the songs.
Okay. Okay. And?
Oh, Canada first, American, and then the God Save the King at the last.
And is that three in order or after? Is there a break between them?
I think this is the first two together, and then at the very end.
Hi, David Victoria. Yes, so.
Brian's going to find out.
Any of the sergeant majors would know.
Save the King.
We had to go about 6 guys before then we could tell
Americans first.
American first,
Okay.
Canada, and then
God save the King. Okay, Americans
Hey.
first.
that's what they felt.
Clarification.
This guy's out of line.
Okay, fair enough. I think we need to know how to stand, guys. I'm not the sergeant at arms, but we need to get together. And we got too many in the front row here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm saying is we need to get 2 rows or something to look like we know what we're doing, don't we? Or don't you think?
Yeah, I think we'll be good.
Well, maybe two.
Sorry?
Numbers, right? You're talking
Yeah,
about
I'm saying, yes, I'm trying to say
I'll
here.
couple in the back. Here, I'll be all here.
I don't think there'll be any more.
Hands up and down here.
Okay, if this is the case, can we do it by height?
No, well you
No?
get your baritones and your basses to go behind them. Your first.
There's a sniper up there.
Okay, you got 3 mics.
So the officers are.
Ladies and gentlemen, as the parade enters, I would kindly request that you put your cell phones on mute, but please keep taking pictures.
I got gloves. I don't. No, Bob got them here. Bob did a bag of gloves, but I did you buy?
Yeah, make sure your phones are off. That looked terrible. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are able to do so, please rise for the entrance of Her Honor, the Honorable Janet Austin, Lieutenant Governor of British Columbia, and the official party.
Attention!
No, Scotland, but it is. Is that Bob the Piper? Yeah, I think so.
Thank you, families and dignitaries. You may now be seated. Welcome to the annual BC Law Enforcement Memorial Service, and thank you all for joining us as we gather today on the traditional lands of the Songhees and Esquimalt First Nations. And with similar services taking place all across Canada, including the 47th Annual Police and Peace Officers Memorial, which took place in Ottawa this morning, today we gather here to honor all law enforcement officers who have been killed in the line of duty, both this year and in the years past. Notably, this year marks the 20th anniversary since the Bastion, our Bastion, was officially unveiled. To the troops and all present here, and those watching by live stream, please know that your participation in today's service is tremendously meaningful in a show of support for the families, friends, and colleagues of our fallen brothers and sisters. We are also privileged to have with us as honored guests the families of the fallen, dignitaries representing various levels of our elected federal, provincial, and municipal governments, and law enforcement officers from the United States of America as well. Therefore, we will hear the national anthems from both our great countries, first of the United States and then of Canada. Following the singing of the national anthems and without announcement, Songhees First Nations elder, Mr. Frank George, will offer a prayer of blessing and thanksgiving to all of us. I now ask the Greater Victoria Choir to please lead us in the national anthems of the United States of America and of our home country of Canada.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red flare that from bursting in air gave truth to the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we singly rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
I now respectfully invite Songhees First Nations elder, Mr. Frank George, to come forward and offer his address.
Parade! RCMP the Chelacha. Asa. Kwananga Hela. To my honorable friends, it's great to see you all in attendance for the BC Law Enforcement Memorial Day Parade. Wolkaletsa, Asa Wolkaletsa, Chesa Ethlasen at Laquangan. Chithlam, Tana Chokmakla, Chesa Ethla at Thathayak. I'm Frank George. I'm from here, the sacred lands of the Laquangan people. My late great-grandfather was late Chieftain of Jarrow Park. He had a traditional home there where our whole extended family lived. He later moved to Places, where the Delta Point sits now. Ethla Sen Salqueen at Laquangan, Ethtalnuch. Cheyasen at Coquels, La Lea at Chase La. Chen Sen U Huiston tha na Chelacha La ta Coquels. La. Coquels in our language means policeman. I am an elder from the Laquangan people. We acknowledge and pay our respects to the policemen that have passed on in their line of duty. We take this time to honor those late friends, the policemen who lost their lives, and to pay our respects to all. Thank you to the law enforcement officers who marched in the memorial parade today. I consultation at Ilanak at Laquangan. We welcome you to the sacred lands of the Laquangan people. Haichqua, Quanis Ane Ethla, Haichqua Hela. Thank you for attending this memorial event today to honor loved ones who've lost their lives in the line of duty and left us far too soon. Blessing. Teria sensa. Thesis siamp. Aichqua. Siamp at the Howis Quachel. Aichqua at the Huiston scapeth tia. Taquade quam to Skolaquan. At the muck I scalacha. Ta muck coquels lea at the chase. Taquade quam to Squalaquas. E the nananas the coquel la. Haichqua thesis siam. Haichqua CEM. Please give strength to those good friends, the policemen when they work in the dangerous situations. Please give strength to the families and children of the loved ones who lost their lives in the line of duty. Thank you, Creator. I encourage you, dear friends, to take care of one another and look after each other. Thank you, honorable ones. Quamp in our language means strong. Have a strong mind, strong spirit, strong soul, strong body. Haichqua siam, haichqua, haichqua siam, haichqua siam.
Thank you for your kind and thoughtful words, Mr. Frank George. Much appreciated. We are also grateful to have several other distinguished speakers address us today, who will address us in turn in the order in which I now invite them forward. Firstly, Her Honor, the Honorable Janet Austin, Lieutenant Governor of British Columbia, who will be followed by Federal Law Enforcement Agencies Representative, RCMP E-Division Deputy Commissioner Dwayne McDonald, and then joined by Provincial Police Representative, Commercial Vehicle Safety and Enforcement Deputy Director, Mr. Perry Dennis, and then of course followed by my own chief, and who is the BC Municipal Police Agencies Representative today, Vancouver Police Department Chief, Mr. Adam Palmer. Audience, you may be seated while the addresses begin. Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. There we go. Yeah. Thank you. Can I give this to someone? Yeah. All right. Gosh, it's windy up here. First of all, to Elder Frank George, Deputy Commissioner McDonald, chiefs, many chiefs here today, serving and retired members, and perhaps most importantly, families and friends. As always, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the Lekwungen peoples, the Songhees and Esquimalt, upon whose traditional territory we gather today, and to thank them for sharing these lands in peace and friendship. Aitsquaichel, Stedata, Aikwanis, Kwanangahela, which is good day, friends. It's good to be among you today, and I do mean that so very sincerely. I will take just a brief moment to comment on the practice of land acknowledgement because I'm very proud that it's been broadly adopted across British Columbia and indeed across the country. But it's important that it be more than just a pro forma statement. And so, as a seventh-generation Canadian myself, whose ancestors came to Cape Breton, Nova Scotia during the Scottish clearances, and when their lands were taken away by the aristocracy, I feel it is particularly important for me to take a moment to reflect on the legacy of colonialism, the harms of the past, and what I can do in my personal life and in my role as Lieutenant Governor to contribute to the healing that is needed in Canada. I'm very conscious that the success of my family and indeed of myself has come at the expense of Indigenous peoples. And for that reason, I feel a high responsibility to be a visible and a vocal advocate for reconciliation in all its dimensions. HCM. I am deeply honored to join you today on this last Sunday in September, the traditional day upon which jurisdictions across Canada honor the sacrifice of law enforcement professionals who have given their lives in the line of duty over the past year. During my time as Lieutenant Governor, I've had the enormous privilege of receiving support from about 35 representatives from the broad range of uniformed service professionals, a large number of whom are involved in law enforcement. And today I'm joined by Deputy Chief Constable Rob Warren with the Saanich Police Department and also by Fire Chief Paul Hurst with View Royal, who kindly serve as my honorary aides de camp today. I'm deeply grateful not only for the support that they provide to me at events like this, but also for all that they have done to teach me about their work and about the daily challenges they face, but especially for their friendship and for the example that they set for me personally. The qualities that they demonstrate and that we look for in all of you, our law enforcement professionals, the qualities of civility, adherence to duty, and self-sacrifice are the same qualities that I strive for in my service as Lieutenant Governor and as a citizen of our province and our country. And I couldn't possibly have better role models than the people who are gathered here today. And so today I just want to say thank you. Thank you for exemplifying the true spirit and the true meaning of service in all that you do. This year, as always, we honor officers who have died in active service over the past year and express our heartfelt sympathies and deepest gratitude to their families and friends. Today, we remember Constable Rick O'Brien, Ridge Meadows RCMP detachment, who gave his life just a few days before the law enforcement memorial last year while executing a search warrant. Constable O'Brien is an exemplar of the true meaning of service, a person who has given the greatest gift possible, which of course is a gift of himself. My heartfelt and most fervent condolences to all the members of his family who join us today, as well as to his colleagues and his friends. And while we can never do enough to adequately mark his ultimate gift, it is most fitting that we stand together to publicly express our gratitude here in the aptly named Garden of Honor. During my time as Lieutenant Governor, I've had occasion to interact with many of you and your colleagues throughout the province, and I'm keenly aware that the tasks we ask of you as law enforcement professionals have become ever more diverse, challenging, and complex. The past 3 or 4 years have been extraordinarily difficult for everyone, but the complexity and risk associated with your roles has been markedly intensified. Many of you work among the most vulnerable and fragile populations in our province, requiring a broad range of highly sophisticated skills, not to mention split-second judgment in volatile situations. The emotional intensity associated with several years of protest and civil demonstrations, the public disorder flowing from the tragic circumstances of the opioid crisis. These things have added further pressures to already demanding roles. And I thank you for the forbearance and restraint with which your authority must always be balanced. Today is a day of public commemoration, but it's also a day of private contemplation. A day to reflect on the burdens we ask of our law enforcement professionals, that we ask you to shoulder, a day to remember that our safety and security comes at a terrible price for some. And we must keep their sacrifice and the sacrifice of their families and friends always in our hearts. I want especially to acknowledge all the family members, colleagues, and friends who join us today with heartfelt condolences to all who have suffered losses. As the representative of His Majesty King Charles III, King of Canada, and on behalf of all British Columbians, I offer my enduring gratitude to all currently serving and retired members for your loyal service, your service to our communities, our province, and our country. It's an honor to join you today. Hajj Kasiyam.
Good afternoon, everyone. Distinguished guests, Lieutenant Governor, representatives from Canadian and United States law enforcement, families, friends, colleagues, and most importantly, the families of the fallen. I thank you for all being here today. This is an important annual event when we come together as one greater law enforcement family to honor our fallen brothers and sisters who have paid the ultimate sacrifice in carrying out their duties to protect and to serve the public. It's not lost on me, as mentioned previously, that just days before we gathered here last year, our RCMP family was shaken to the core with the murder of Constable Rick O'Brien, killed in the line of duty as noted while executing a search warrant in Coquitlam. Today, we honor Rick's memory and his service by adding his name to the BC Honor Roll, an important honor, but one that is still very difficult to reconcile as we are still hurting and healing from his loss. Rick, as many of you know, was an amazing man. He had a passion for helping others, and it's what made him an incredible candidate to become a member of the RCMP. And he, like some of us, answered the call. He changed careers and joined our force after working with kids in his local school district. And once he earned his badge and became a police officer, he was quick to excel, whether working in frontline policing or with the community and crime prevention programs. Constable O'Brien closed gaps between youth and the police and between police and communities. He strengthened relationships and made our force and our profession better. He was committed to making a difference, and he definitely did make a difference. And I'm so grateful that this last year, his memory and his legacy now includes a new youth lounge named after him in Pitt Meadows and a ball hockey jamboree tournament in Maple Ridge. And it's in those kinds of efforts and today's gathering that we can heal and we can gain courage to continue. It's about honoring our heroes and making a difference. It has been said that the nobility of our profession can be found not in just what we do, but in why we do it, and most importantly, how we do it. Rick served with honor, as I know each of you do. It's who we are. And so to Constable O'Brien's family and the families of all police and peace officers that Rick joins today on the honor roll, we share your immense sense of grief and your devastating loss. I wish to express my sincere thanks to you and hope you know that your loved ones drew strength and courage from your love and support. Their ability to serve and to protect was made possible because of your enduring patience, your understanding, and your love. I would also like to extend my gratitude and appreciation to all police officers and peace officers, past and present, for your dedication and service to our communities. The camaraderie we share in British Columbia spans all agencies, jurisdictions, and mandates, and it makes the difficult job that we do not just safer, but better. Regardless of the uniform that you wear, we are united in a common and noble purpose, keeping our communities safe. So today, as we gather, I ask you to recommit to preserving the legacy of our fallen brothers and sisters, our heroes. It is up to us to suit up, to answer the call, to make a difference, and remember the cause for which they paid the ultimate sacrifice. Thank you.
Good afternoon. It is a privilege to be here today to say a few words at this important ceremony in the territories of the Lekwungen-speaking people of the Songhees and the Esquimalt First Nations, surrounded by the outstanding people of law enforcement. My name is Perry Dennis, and on behalf of British Columbia, commercial vehicle safety and enforcement officers, all provincial law enforcement, and peace officers, I would like to acknowledge and honor all those who have given themselves wholeheartedly to this calling and their lives to serve and protect. I want to thank the dignitaries who are here today, our counterparts from Canada and the United States, and the families and friends of those we are here to remember. Thank you to everyone who has joined us today as we pay tribute to those we have lost. After 3 decades of service, I still remember every funeral that I've attended to commemorate the life of an officer taken too soon. Some I knew well enough to pay my respects, and others I knew very well. But all were part of our law enforcement family, and all have left their mark. One young constable, killed in a tragic motor vehicle crash, left behind a wife and children while doing 2 of the things he loved: policing and riding motorcycles. The words of his father rang out to me, who said, "It is not supposed to happen this way. Parents should not outlive their children." Those words resonated and have stayed with me. In a perfect world, no one would have to ponder whether saying goodbye to their family in the morning may be the last time, simply by default of their profession. It would be easy to say no one should ever go to work and not come home. But our world is imperfect, as flawed and as chaotic as it is beautiful. Officers know this and accept it and get up every morning to do their jobs. They stand up for what is right and run toward danger, and sometimes lay down their lives so others can go on living safely. They are first and foremost the ultimate public servants, dedicated, proud, involved in their communities, invested in the laws they enforce. This time last year, our entire community was deep in mourning for RCMP Constable Rick O'Brien, who was killed in the line of duty on September 22nd, 2023. The pain was raw from his family, friends, and colleagues who loved him, and the community whose most vulnerable members he treated with care and compassion. Grief like that cuts to the bone. It takes a long time to heal, and while the pain may have dulled, we still carry it with us, as palpable as the uniforms on our backs. I see it today reflected in the eyes of every officer, but I also see hope, perseverance, strength, and bravery, and determination to carry on for the ones who inspire us with their courage, who love this work and have died for it. As a child traveling with my family through the United States, mostly for hockey, I remember a sign at the Canadian border that read, "Welcome to Canada, the land of the friendly police." Those words live true today by your service and protection of the citizens of British Columbia, Canada, visitors from the United States, and around the world. We remember today and every day those police and law enforcement officers who have worked and served their communities across this country and have made the ultimate sacrifice. To the family and friends of the fallen, we stand beside you, offering our support, our gratitude, and our love. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Adam Palmer, Vancouver Police Department, representing municipal police officers in British Columbia. Honored guests, families and friends of our fallen officers, fellow police and peace officers from Canada and the United States, and everyone in attendance today, good afternoon and thank you for joining us. I would also like to thank the dedicated members of the BC Law Enforcement Memorial Committee and the members who recently participated in the Run to Remember and the Ride to Remember leading up to this important day. Every year on the last Sunday in September, we gather here in Victoria at the Provincial Legislature and on Parliament Hill in Ottawa to mourn the loss and remember the service and sacrifice of our beloved fallen officers since our last ceremony 1 year ago, and all the brave police and peace officers before them who made the ultimate sacrifice while performing their sworn duty to serve and protect our communities. We also pay our heartfelt respects to the families, loved ones, friends, and colleagues who must carry on without them. We stand post to remember our brothers and sisters, and we know, as sure as we are standing here today, that if our lot was reversed in life, they would stand post for us. It is said that what we do for ourselves dies with us. What we do for others and the world remains and is immortal. All of the individuals being honored today chose an honorable career of service devoted to ensuring the safety and well-being of others. In doing so, they chose a path that often put them in harm's way while helping others. Police and peace officers have a great responsibility. Our fallen officers started their shift just like most of you do, who are standing here today. And as they did this morning, the brave men and women across our country who went 10-8 and are patrolling our streets right now, whether in the core of a large urban center or on a lonely stretch of highway in the middle of our province. Our officers are the sons and daughters of our country who keep our communities safe. Today, we stand here to acknowledge their dedication, bravery, service, and sacrifice to public safety, and we pay our respects silently in our own hearts and publicly on behalf of all Canadians. Officers choose this career because they want to make a difference. They leave their families every day and go to work where they respond to thousands of calls for service daily in British Columbia. They help other people's families and people they don't even know, often in times of crisis, often on the worst days of their lives, and often in dangerous and uncertain circumstances. They do this because they want to serve others and make a positive difference in people's lives and in our communities. What these brave souls leave behind is not what is engraved 132 times in stone on this bastion, or 900 times on the etched glass panels displayed on Parliament Hill in Ottawa. What they leave has been woven into the lives of the people they have touched, their fellow officers, the communities they served, and their friends, family, and loved ones with whom they shared their lives with. I would like to extend, on behalf of all of us, our deepest, heartfelt respect to the families and loved ones of our fallen officers. They remain forever in our hearts, in our minds, and in the collective memory of our country. They are Canadian heroes, and we will never forget them.
Thank you very much, Lieutenant Governor, all our dignitaries. If we listed all your accomplishments, they'd be too numerous to mention. But the truth is, as soldiers out there, we turn to you for leadership on the days when we really need to count on you. And today, you've proven again that we can always do that. So thank you very much for your thoughtful words. As we proceed, we sadly note that today in Ottawa and in other provinces, names of fallen members were added to the provincial and national honor rolls in commemoration of the ultimate sacrifices made by these officers in serving their communities. That said, we now prepare for the reading of our own honor roll. At the conclusion of this reading, we will witness two RCMP Stetson headdresses being laid in honor of the most two recent members of our law enforcement community in British Columbia, who this year have sadly now become a part of our honor roll. Firstly, RCMP Constable Vernon Miles Janelle, who died in 2002 and is now a historic addition. And of course, as we've heard and recently remember, RCMP Constable Rick O'Brien, who died in the line of duty just over 1 year ago as this service was getting ready to happen, with him participating in it. We'd now like to tell you a little more about these two brave people who selflessly each gave their lives to serve each one of us.
Let's remember Constable Vernon Miles Janelle. Vernon Miles Janelle first embarked in a life of service in 1970 as a field engineer recruit who in 1971, having completed his basic training, was posted to the 3rd Field Engineer Squadron before serving a tour with the 4th Combat Engineer Regiment in support of our armed forces. Following the completion of this assignment, Vernon remastered the role of administrative clerk in 1980s before taking the duties of sergeant instructor as the CFB border. After 20 years of service, Vernon left the Canadian Forces to begin his career with the RCMP. During his policing career, Vern earned the RCMP's Commissioner's Commendment Award for bravery. Interested in the Army's cadet program, Vern also worked with the 1725 Cadet Corps Royal Canadian Engineers in Chilliwack, and was furthermore instructional in forming the Seabird Island Cadet Corps in Agassiz. In December 2002, while posted with the Agassiz RCMP, Constable Vernon Janelle responded to a break and enter in progress during which he and another police officer were able to apprehend both suspects after a short foot chase. However, while escorting one of the suspects to his police vehicle, Constable Janelle suffered a medical emergency and collapsed. He subsequently passed away in Chilliwack General Hospital, and his Mass of Christian burial was celebrated at St. Mary's Church in Chilliwack. Constable Vernon Miles Janelle was survived by his loving wife, Fran, and their 3 children. Let's remember and honor the bio of Constable Rick O'Brien. As you've heard, Constable Rick O'Brien was not only a decorated RCMP officer, he was also a loving husband and a devoted father to 6. He was born in Ottawa and moved to Chilliwack, BC in 1989 with his family. Rick had always dreamed of becoming a police officer, but it wasn't until later in life that that dream came true. Rick has dedicated his life to working with kids, working as an at-risk youth officer with the educational assistants for several years before joining RCMP and heading to Depot in April 2016. Rick took tremendous pride in wearing the uniform. His strong sense of duty, his desire to make a positive impact on the lives he came across, and his unique ability to connect with people from all walks of life is what make Rick an outstanding police officer. Rick was known not only for his professionalism, but also for his genuine kindness and compassion. He had an energy that would light up a room, a sense of humor that kept his colleagues laughing, and a signature smile. He believed in the power of connection and community, and he saw potential in every young person he came across. Rick's vision was to bring youth and law and order enforcement together. He believed that the future of any community lies in its young people, and he was committed to being a positive role model and mentor. Tragically, Rick lost his life in the line of duty on September 22nd, 2023. His spirit and vision lives on through the hearts and the lives he touched, and the initiatives inspired by his work. The Constable Rick O'Brien Joint Forces Foundation and the Constable Rick O'Brien Youth Lounge. Rick O'Brien's life demonstrated that what it means to serve selflessly, love unconditionally, and believe in the potential of every individual. His legacy is one of hope, unity, and the belief that together we can create a better and more compassionate world. Thank you.
On that note, I'm now going to ask 2 members of our law enforcement community to read the multiple names, well over 100, of all the police and peace officers who have lost their lives in the line of duty in this province. The reading of this honor roll is both a privilege and a powerful reminder of the ultimate price that some have paid in the service of the citizens of our beautiful province. We now call on Detective Constable Sarah Hanna from the Nelson Police Department and Corporal Christy Powell from the RCMP Ridge Meadows Detachment, who worked with Rick O'Brien, to read these names.
June 2nd, 1859, Constable Johnson Cochran, Victoria Police Department.
February 29th, 1864, Constable John Curry, Victoria Police Department.
August 18, 1864, Constable Reuben Kawalta Onslow, Metla Ketla Shimshin Nation.
May 12th, 1865, Constable John D.B. Ogilvie, BC Provincial Police.
May 27th, 1867, Constable John Lawson, BC Provincial Police.
December 8th, 1879, Constable John T. Usher, BC Provincial Police.
January 1st, 1885, Constable William Ross, Northwest Mounted Police.
September 22nd, 1887, Constable Henry O. Lazenby, Northwest Mounted Police.
October 20th, 1887, Constable James Mason, Northwest Mounted Police.
October 26th, 1887, Constable Abraham W. Fisher, Northwest Mounted Police.
October 29th, 1887, Constable William, Secwepemc, Shuswap Nation.
December 16th, 1887, Constable Herbert Mitchell, Northwest Mounted Police.
September 17th, 1894, Constable Peter, Shiem Stolo Nation.
August 8th, 1898, Constable Ernest E. Pearson, Northwest Mounted Police.
April 14th, 1900, Chief Constable Alexander Sandy D. Main, Steveston Municipal Police.
December 26th, 1901, Constable Norman Campbell, Northwest Mounted Police.
December 26th, 1901, Constable Spencer G. Heathcote, Northwest Mounted Police.
March 25th, 1903, Sheriff Stephen Redgrave, Kootenay County.
November 5th, 1907, Special Constable Bob Williams, BC Provincial Police.
June 28th, 1909, Special Constable Isaac Decker, BC Provincial Police.
April 18th, 1910, Constable Arthur Lane, BC Provincial Police.
September 24th, 1910, Special Provincial Constable Alfred J. Sampson, BC Provincial Police.
March 25th, 1912, Constable Louis Byers, Vancouver Police Department.
March 28th, 1912, Constable Jeffrey H. Aston, BC Provincial Police.
May 3rd, 1912, Constable Alex Kindness, BC Provincial Police.
October 5th, 1912, Guard John H. Joynson, Canada Department of Corrections.
March 4th, 1913, Constable Harry Westaway, BC Provincial Police.
May 28th, 1913, Constable James Archibald, Vancouver Police Department.
November 1st, 1913, Constable John L. McMenamy, Vancouver Police Department.
January 4th, 1914, Constable John Clark, Vernon City Police.
June 13th, 1914, Constable John M. Allen, Kamloops City Police.
August 29th, 1914, Detective Richard Levy, Vancouver Police Department.
October 21st, 1914, Immigration Officer William C. Hopkinson, Canada Department of Immigration.
October 22nd, 1914, Constable James C. Adams, Dominion Police of Canada.
March 21st, 1915, Special Constable Charles Painter, British Columbia Electric Railway.
January 10th, 1915, Constable Richard Glenane, BC Provincial Police.
May 18th, 1915, Constable John R. Burns, BC Provincial Police.
March 20th, 1917, Chief Constable Malcolm B. McLennan, Vancouver Police Department.
October 18th, 1918, Trooper George F. Kennedy, Royal Northwest Mounted Police.
June 10th, 1920, Constable George Stanfield, BC Provincial Police.
November 11th, 1920, Constable Robert Forster, Victoria Police Department.
May 15th, 1921, Sergeant Arthur Searle, Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
October 9th, 1921, Constable Robert G. McBeath, VC, Vancouver Police Department.
February 8th, 1925, Constable William Alexander, Canadian Pacific Railway Police.
September 27th, 1926, Constable Arthur W. Mabel, BC Provincial Police.
January 25th, 1927, Customs Officer William G. Hughes, Department of Customs and Excise, Canada Customs.
September 9th, 1927, Constable George MacDonald, Surrey Police.
November 10th, 1927, Constable Ernest Sargent, Vancouver Police Department.
December 19th, 1927, Constable Albert E. Wells, Victoria Police Department.
April 21st, 1930, Constable James Urquhart, Canadian Pacific Railway Police.
July 5th, 1930, Game Warden Dennis Greenwood, BC Game Department.
October 4th, 1932, Game Warden Albert E. Ferry, BC Game Department.
December 23rd, 1932, Constable Joseph Riley, Vancouver Police Department.
May 23rd, 1934, Constable Percival Carr, BC Provincial Police.
May 23rd, 1934, Constable Frank Gisborne, Dominion Police Indian Department.
July 4th, 1938, Inspector William Service, BC Provincial Police.
July 4th, 1938, Sergeant Robert Gibson, BC Provincial Police.
June 19th, 1939, Constable Clifford A. Prescott, BC Provincial Police.
November 19th, 1941, Constable Frank P. Clark, BC Provincial Police.
May 29th, 1943, Lieutenant Edwin G. Sturrock, Canadian Provost Corps.
July 17th, 1946, Constable Harry L. McKenney, BC Provincial Police.
February 26th, 1947, Constable Oliver Leddingham, Vancouver Police Department.
February 26th, 1947, Constable Charles Boys, Vancouver Police Department.
September 2nd, 1948, Fisher Officer Kenneth E. Weaver, Canadian Department of Fisheries.
May 11th, 1953, Constable Stephen Casper, Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
December 7th, 1955, Constable Gordon Sinclair, Vancouver Police Department.
February 8th, 1956, Constable William L. Melsom, Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
May 1st, 1956, Warden William F. Trent, BC Corrections Branch.
January 5th, 1957, Constable John Cobley, Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
August 6th, 1958, Staff Sergeant Stanley Rothwell, Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
August 6th, 1958, Constable Richard Green, Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
August 6th, 1958, Special Constable Joseph Cormier, Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
July 13th, 1959, Constable Earl M. Doyle, Victoria Police Department.
April 24th, 1960, Constable Robert N.B. Kirby, Saanich Police Department.
April 22nd, 1961, Constable Ronald Ekstrom, Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
February 9th, 1962, Detective Lawrence W. Short, Vancouver Police Department.
June 18th, 1962, Constable Joseph Keck, Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
June 18th, 1962, Constable Gordon E. Peterson, Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
June 18th, 1962, Constable Donald G. Weisgerber, Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
July 19th, 1962, Constable Arkeel Lapine, Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
September 16th, 1963, Reserve Inspector Stan Trentham, Vancouver Police Department.
April 14th, 1965, Constable Reginald W. Williams, Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
April 14th, 1965, Constable Neil Bruce, Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
June 29th, 1966, Constable Larry Esau, Vancouver Police Department.
July 2nd, 1966, Special Constable Ian Collinson, City of Kelowna.
June 3rd, 1967, Constable Terry Tomfor, Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
October 4th, 1970, Constable William Green, Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
November 26th, 1971, Constable Michael Mason, Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
March 29th, 1974, Constable Roger Pierlette, Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
September 29th, 1974, Constable Terry Draginda, Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
November 2nd, 1974, Staff Sergeant Ronald E. McKay, Delta Police Department.
June 6th, 1975, Corrections Officer Roy W. Eddy, Canada Department of Corrections.
June 11th, 1975, Classification Officer Mary Steinhauser, Canada Department of Corrections.
October 28th, 1975, Constable John B. Baldwinson, Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
September 4th, 1977, Special Constable George D. Foster, Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
December 30th, 1977, Highway Patrolman John Roscoe, BC Department of Transport.
June 4th, 1980, Auxiliary Constable Dennis L. Fraser, Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
September 19th, 1980, Constable Thomas J. Agar, Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
August 31st, 1981, Constable James F. Thomas, Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
January 8th, 1982, Constable Perthipal Paul S. Sankara, Vancouver Police Department.
December 15th, 1983, Special Constable Wayne Myers, Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
December 15th, 1983, Corporal Francis E. Jones, Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
March 14th, 1984, Vehicle Inspector Graham J. Jackson, BC Department of Transport and Highways.
May 4th, 1984, Constable Robert Anderson, Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
March 19th, 1985, Constable Michael Booty, Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
February 2nd, 1987, Sergeant Larry T. Young, Vancouver Police Department.
February 21st, 1989, Constable Derek J. Flanagan, Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
October 24th, 1990, Constable Gary Breeze, Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
September 28, 1991, Constable Christopher Rigler, Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
August 29th, 1992, Auxiliary Constable Joseph E. Sam Balmer, Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
June 18th, 1993, Probation Officer Bill Kennedy, Solicitor General's Department, Corrections Branch.
September 28th, 1993, Officer James Adams, Stolo First Nation.
May 24th, 1994, Customs Inspector Ruth Coram, Canadian Customs and Revenue Agency.
September 18th, 1996, Fisher Officer Dean J. Miller, Department of Fisheries and Oceans.
December 25th, 1997, Constable Gerald Fortis, Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
May 1st, 1999, Deputy Sheriff James C. Askew, BC Sheriff's Service.
April 8th, 2000, Constable Mark J. Neuenhouse, Delta Police Department.
August 15th, 2000, Sergeant Edwin Mobley, Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
August 15th, 2000, Special Constable Timothy J. Nicholson, Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
March 29th, 2002, Constable Will T. Audi, Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
September 15th, 2002, Constable Jimmy Eng, Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
December 22nd, 2002, Constable Vernon M. Janelle, Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
November 13th, 2004, Auxiliary Constable Glenn Evely, Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
June 3rd, 2005, Constable Jean Mingay, Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
April 19th, 2006, Constable John D. Goyer, Abbotsford Police Department.
January 17th, 2012, RCMP pilot David J. Brolin, Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
November 13th, 2012, Constable Adrian Oliver, Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
February 1st, 2015, Officer Tony Christensen, Commercial Vehicle Safety and Enforcement.
April 5th, 2016, Constable Sarah Beckett, Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
November 6th, 2017, Constable John Davidson, Abbotsford Police Department.
April 11th, 2018, Constable Ian D. Jordan, Victoria Police Department.
October 18th, 2022, Constable Shaylin Yang, Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
September 22nd, 2023, Constable Rick O'Brien, Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
Again, those headdresses were laid in honor of our most recent additions to our honor roll, Constable Vern Janelle and Constable Rick O'Brien. Thank you for their service. For the members of the public, I just want to make one point here. The members on parade here today, they're not showing it because they're tough and they're paying a living tribute to their brothers and sisters who have fallen, but this is painful to stand here this long. So to my brothers and sisters, and care for you, if you need to step off for a second, please. Thank you for your service and your tribute. Thank you, officers, for the reading of the honor roll. Very touching, and may we never forget those names. We will now hear the bugler play the distinctive last post, symbolically representing the death of each member killed in the line of duty, and one round from a rifle will be discharged to mark the beginning of the period of silence. The period of silence that follows will symbolically signify the time spent in the grave. However, toward the end of the period of silence, there will be a piper's lament, symbolizing the sorrow of separation felt by surviving families and friends. At the end of the piper's lament, there will be 3 volleys from the rifle party. And at the end of the period of silence, the bugler will play Reveille to mark the waking of the fallen, to rise above their mortal duties, to eternally rest in peace, and the awakening to a better world which surpasses all of our mortal frailty. Would those who are seated please stand if you are able for this solemn remembrance of hope and purpose which endures beyond the temporary sadness of the grave. Once the bugler has played reveille, please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated.
Parade! Stand at ease! Stand easy!
It's my privilege and honor today not only to be here, but also to be surrounded with other chaplains of various faith traditions. We have with us a Jewish chaplain, Yahil Beidelman, a Sikh chaplain, Inderjeet Singh, a Muslim chaplain, Junaid Khan, and a Christian chaplain, like myself, Rick James. Today, I will invite them forward in turn, starting with Chaplain Rick James, to offer some further remarks.
No one has greater love than this, to lay down one's life for their friends. Whether or not you are a person of great religious faith or a person with no particular faith, we can all agree that this verse from sacred scripture is a living testimony which all who offer their lives of service honorably share. And indeed, recognizing that all life is a wondrous and created gift, today we are called to remember those who offered their lives to service others. Whether said in a spirit of prayer or as a testimonial pledge, let us now evaluate and join our hearts together in sharing all these reflective words.
At the rising sun and at its going down, we remember them.
At the blowing of the wind and the chill of winter, we remember them.
At the opening of the buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember them.
At the blueness of the skies and the warmth of the summer, we remember them.
At the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we remember them.
At the beginning of the year and at its ends, we remember them.
As long as we live, they too will live, as they are now part of us as we remember them.
When we are weary and indeed in need of strength, we remember them.
When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember them.
When we have decisions that are difficult to make, we remember them.
When we have joy to crave to share, we remember them.
When we realize dreams and achievements that are founded on theirs, we remember them.
For as long as we live, they too will live, for they are now part of us. Indeed, we will always remember them. Rabbi?
מזמור לדוד, אדוני רואי לא יחסר, בנויסתה שירביצני, על מי מנוחס ינהלני, נפשי ישובב ינחני ומגדי צדק למען שמוי, גם כי ילך בגיא צלמוות, לא ירא כי אתה עמדי, שבתך משענתך המה ינחמוני, תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צדדי, Dishanta v'shemen roishi koisi revaya, ach toi b'chesed yirdefuni kol yemei chayai, v'shavti b'veis adinoi le'yodech yamim. A psalm by David. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall lack nothing. He makes me lie down in green pastures, he leads me beside still waters. He revives my soul. He directs me in paths of righteousness for the sake of his name. Even if I will walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they will comfort me. You will prepare a table for me before my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil. My cup is full. Only goodness and kindness shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord for many long years.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. May the peace and blessings of God be upon you all. Again, equally respecting people of all beliefs, I invite all of us to unite our hearts in this prayer of comfort. Our one shared, eternal, almighty, compassionate, and merciful God, today we humbly come together in your presence, asking that your divine comfort and grace rest upon all who have lost loved ones in the service of others. We stand united with their families and friends and with each other as together we all continue living in loving remembrance of their great sacrifices. Mindful of our deep need for spiritual healing and inner peace, we ask that you give us the strength to cope with the loss of these precious lives, which continues to be a daily burden that is carried by every mother, father, wife, husband, brother, sister, child, and family member, and is shared by both members of the police and law enforcement agencies whose colleagues have paid this ultimate price, as well as by all our communities, as we recall how our brothers and sisters so courageously gave themselves to maintain the welfare and rights of others and uphold the rule of law in our wonderful province and in this great country. We also thank you for having given us the gift of their remarkable lives during which they felt the call to a life of duty and from which we have all received many blessings. Indeed, our loved ones remain heroes in our hearts and in the history of our wonderful nation. And so while we may continue to mourn these losses, we also recall your many gifts and trust that you will always hear the humble prayers of all who call on your name for consolation. Lord, we especially thank you for the blessings of drawing us together as members of your family and the assurance that our loved ones will forever be remembered with honor and dignity. Amen. Amen.
Thank you, chaplains. We will now have the laying of wreaths in this order. Firstly, by Her Honor, the Honorable Janet Austin, Lieutenant Governor of British Columbia. Representatives for the families of the fallen, Cynthia O'Brien, Chelsea O'Brien, and Isaac O'Brien. Our BC government representative, Acting Associate Director of Police Services, Brian Sims. Our federal law enforcement representative, RCMP E-Division Deputy Commissioner Dwayne McDonald, and our provincial law enforcement representative, Commercial Vehicle Safety and Enforcement Deputy Director, Perry Dennis. And finally, our municipal law enforcement representative, my Vancouver Police Department Chief Constable, Mr. Adam Palmer. As our memorial now draws to a close, we will end today's ceremony with the playing of the royal anthem, followed by the honorary march past. Upon the conclusion of the royal anthem, I would like to ask those in the reviewing party to make their way forward in preparation for the honorary march past. First of all, I'd like to thank all the troops, my fellow brothers and sisters gathered here today. I'm proud to serve next to you as a law enforcement officer. And as an ordained Catholic deacon, I want to let you know that today in my faith is the feast day of St. Michael, patron saint of all police and law enforcement officers. May he bless us all, and may God shine us on us all as the sun is shining today. I'd also like to thank our dignitaries and honored guests, our wonderful speakers, the Greater Victoria Choir, the Victoria police officers providing overwatch and our safety, ongoing safety for today's service, the organizing committee, and all who either by your participation or presence have made this year's BC Law Enforcement Memorial another truly meaningful gathering. But I especially want to thank the families and friends of the fallen. Thank you for your sacrifice. The loss you've suffered is immeasurable, but please rest assured that as members of your larger family, we will never forget and always remain standing next to you. As we depart, I offer all of you and your loved ones many blessings. Stay safe, healthy, and may we always remain connected with one another. Those who are seated, please stand if you are able for the playing of the royal anthem.
Save our gracious King, long live our noble King, God save our King. Send him victorious, happy and glorious, long to reign over us. God save our King.
Parade will march off in succession of companies, pipe band leading. Company commanders take post.
Left, right,
PSA, by the left, quick! March!
Vancouver officers, by the center. Wreath, march.
Vancouver Police, by the center. Big march. F-I-F. F-I-F-I. F-I-F.
We lost somebody too.
It looks easy to stand there, when you're in agony.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Here we go. We have a man here that's coming to get you. Oh, yeah. Good to see you. Over here. Over here. I'm going to grab a little bit